Alrighty. We are going to go live in the Facebook group and hopefully this is all happening. It has been so long since I've done a Facebook Live. I'm a little bit scared of how all the technology is going to go. So just because I am a freaking control freak, I have three different screens going on here. I can see myself talking in the background. I've got another iPad over here, and I've got notes down there that I've printed off in case things didn't work. So if anyone is around, I would love to know if you can hear me, because I've just realized I haven't put my mic in. So that might be a problem. Let's see if we can fix that. B, can you hear me? Oh, that's going to be problematic now. I need somebody to let me know if you can hear me. Otherwise, it's going to be very awkward. Now I've got to come over here to actually actually work out whether you can hear me. And I'm waiting for Matteo to turn up. Let me see how we work out how to do that. Add. Send invitation. Beautiful. The invitation to come on live here, and still waiting for somebody to let me. Oh, Matteo can hear me. Woo! We'll go with that. Beautiful. Here you are.
Hey Joe, how are you?
Good. I am feeling like the technology whiz of 1982 right now.
Yeah, 100%. This is my first time doing a Facebook Live as well.
No way. Okay.
Got the tripod set up here with my phone.
All right, I'm gonna send you a picture of my tripod setup, because I know I sent you a message last night going, probably best if you do it this way. And of course I have some of those features worked out for myself. So pretty interesting. All right. Matteo, where are you today? Are you in Bali or are you in Perth?
No, I'm just in Perth, but since I'm using the tripod setup, I'm just in a little corner of my office space here.
Nice.
So, yeah, still in Perth.
What's the weather like in Perth today? Just so I know what's happening in Sydney in 5 days' time.
It's actually colder for once. It's been 40 degrees, let's say the past like 2-3 weeks. Like it was like honestly brutally hot. But yeah, now it's colder, but I think it's getting a bit hotter during the day. But it's only 9 a.m. here. I usually get up at 5 a.m. and it's pretty cold in the morning. So yeah.
So we've got that.
Only recently though.
Yeah. We kind of got that tripping into autumn thing happening here now, which is kind of refreshing. It's so humid here on the East Coast, well, in Sydney today. It's like outside feels like inside. I feel like I can't breathe. But enough of the weather, people, enough of the weather. You did not come here to listen to me talk to Matteo about the weather. I did do that on purpose though, because I wanted to make sure that Matteo and I knew what we were doing. So you heard it here, folks. This is Matteo's first Facebook Live, and Joe hasn't done one for about 2 years. So yay us! We
feel honored to be the first one in the last 2 years.
That's really cool. Very, very cool. All right, so I just want to give you a really big mention and shout out, because I caught up with Jasmine this week, who I know you have spoken to as well. She had nothing but wonderful things to say about you. She was so impressed with the advice that you gave her about her website. And basically her upshot was, Matteo doesn't want to take my money until I fix a few things. I mean, your integrity and your desire to serve us is just outstanding. So can I just say thank you? Because one of the things we as health professionals hate is feeling like we're going to be ripped off. Yeah. And one of the reasons we find it really hard to go to market and ask people for help is because we often get ripped off, because we're not experts in things, right? And the true currency of the work of a health professional is trust. That's not the same as people who sell marketing services.
Unfortunately not. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, basically I realized what is the point in running something that wouldn't work unless other things are fixed first. And it doesn't make sense. The whole point is I want to build long relationships with my clients. And if I don't see a long relationship by just diving in like head first, not even looking at the bigger picture, then I don't want to, I'm here for long-term results. And I really just want, as I said, my main motivation for this is to help patients who are in need of healthcare services with the right practitioners.
Yeah.
So
that's great. And I love the image of the building the bridge that you and I have talked about so many times now. It's just like client seeking services, service provider providing services, Google Ads is the bridge. But as we're going to tell people and show people today, it's not just any Google ad. You can't just throw up a sentence and pretend that your Google ad's going to work. There are some things you need to know. So I have come prepared with some questions. Here, old school
keen for them.
piece of paper. So not only do I have 3 screens to choose from, I still have a piece of paper as well. Okay, so first question for you. Lots of health professionals, aka Joe Muirhead, say that Google ads just don't work for them. So what are the biggest mistakes that you see when health professionals try and DIY their own Google ads?
The first thing I would talk about is the keywords, the relevant keywords and search terms that your ideal clients would be searching for if they were ready then and there to book an appointment with you. So there's a lot of misconception where you just want to go broad and target every single keyword to do with your service, but we only want the highest intent keywords possible. So an example for this, let's say we're dentists, right? If I was trying to rank for keywords, and what this means is if someone searches up this term, our Google ads will pop up with our website, right? If someone searches something like free dentist or like how much does teeth whitening cost, those are quite low intent search terms because it's just people just information seeking. They're not really looking to transact right then and there. Some do, but most of them don't. And you just really have to put yourself in the shoes of your patients, right? So let's say I was very unhappy with my teeth and I wanted to get teeth whitening. Actually got my teeth whitened a few months ago, but what I did was I searched teeth whitening near me, right? Because I wanted to find a teeth whitening place near me where it wasn't as far. And I'm usually going to pick the first one, right? And when you run Google ads, it shows at the top. So basically the first thing that I would look at is the keywords that you're trying to rank for and making sure they're the highest intent keywords for people who are ready to transact and have the money to pay for your services. That's the first thing.
So when we talk about keywords, we're not talking about some academic exercise here. These are actually words that your prospective clients are putting into a search, like a Google search engine. So they might be saying things like psychologist near me, psychologist with no waiting list near me, occupational therapist near me, or they might be saying, what does an OT do near me? Is that kind of where we're headed?
Yeah, well, when you get to those like information seeking ones, it's worth testing, but what we find is it's best use of your budget to just spend on the highest quality keywords.
Okay, so
but there's many other high intent keywords. Near me is probably the easiest and most common one, but you can do specific suburbs. It can be a specific service. You can say emergency if that's what your practice does as well, because if it's an emergency, people are going to book in right away, right? So yeah, plenty of things.
Okay, so not being scared to say things like mental health OT near me, because, you know, with occupational therapists here in Australia, particularly in this current climate, you guys are as rare. Finding someone who's got availability now, you guys are as rare as hen's teeth. So if you have availability, or you have team members who have availability, as in you've got sessions that need to be filled, Google AdWords is the way that you're going to get them filled. Like you could spend hours, like Joe has done, with your content marketing, or you could spend, which we'll get to in a little while, a little bit of time, a little bit of money, and have people booking in. But we're gonna get to that because I've crafted these questions in a sequential way because I'm mean like that. Okay. So Google ads, like I've gone in now and had a look at my Google ads dashboard because I've just been too scared to even look at it. It makes it look like it's really easy to set up. Okay. So what do we need to be aware of before we hit publish?
There's plenty of things. Main ones being the keywords, the ad copy, and the targeting. So Google makes it very easy to set up. Anyone with, anyone who has some sort of experience with technology can easily set up a Google Ads campaign. But getting it right is the important thing. So Google, another misconception is Google has plenty of recommendations of what you should do and things like that. And based on my experience and a lot of people in my space and their experience, is Google, let's just say they don't have the best intentions for you. The Google reps, yeah, Google reps, like the support reps and stuff, they will hop on calls with you and ask like to help you with your Google ads. But unfortunately, they do get a commission on the spend that you do. So if they tell you to increase their spend, they get a commission on that. So let's just say they might not have the best intentions for you, so you can't really blindly follow what they say, and you have to do your own due diligence and do your own research and really picture what it's like if you're in your patient's shoes and you wanted your specific service. Like, what were the steps you're going to take? You're going to think about it first, and then you're going to search it. And then when you search it, what would you hope for the website to come up? Like, what ad copy, what headlines, what do you want it to look like? And then when they click on the website, what should the website look like in the first 3 seconds, right? Because a lot of people drop off during that period. So
Yeah.
our aim is to make sure that we get as many qualified patient bookings as possible, and that's only what we're optimizing for. And yeah, so it goes with the website, and then the ad copy, the targeting, as well as the keywords, which is just like the top of the funnel.
So I just want to draw people to the attention of what you just said there. You're optimizing for patient bookings.
Correct.
This is not lead generation, people. This is not add people to your nurture sequence and get them to know you, like you, trust you after 12 touches on the internet. This is not hours and hours of agonizing over what videos you should be posting online and when online, hoping that somebody's going to see it. This is actually getting the cream of the crop, the top 1% of people who are going, I need your help right now. It is really rare for a marketing person like Matteo to sit in front of a person like me and say, we are optimizing for patient acquisition. Like, we want bookings, we don't want leads. So
yeah, and we don't want the clicks,
no.
we don't want views, we don't want. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool. You can flex it to your other practitioner friends, but we want bookings at the end of the day, and that's the reason why. Because these patients need you.
Yes.
They clearly have some issues, and they need someone to take care of that, and that's where you come in, and that's where I come in to help you connect them
Yeah,
with each other.
absolutely. So if you can't articulate, so if I can't articulate as a health professional what my client is seeking, what my client's language is going to be, what my client's going to be typing into Google, then that's the first piece of homework, right? You've actually got to know, put yourself in the client's shoes. So it's not your professional, credential, academic words.
Correct. That's
Like, I've said this
another
many.
misconception. Yeah.
Yeah, I have often said nobody cares whether you can ACT the CBT of my PTSD. Like, nobody's putting that into a Google search. So Mateo's just going, what the hell did Joe just say?
However, it can be helpful as like a description, definitely
Okay.
not a headline, but maybe a description on a Google ad, which is like, yeah, like the sub headline basically. Or if you have that info on the website, which has more about you, because sometimes people just need a little push, and maybe just you need to build a little bit more rapport before they actually book in. So it is helpful to have information about yourself and the services you provide, your experience, etc. But the main thing is just the intent. So your service, the area you're in, and that's it. And make it very easy for them to book.
Beautiful.
The other stuff is like it's like a 1%er. So it's not that it doesn't matter, but it just doesn't move the needle forward as well as these high intent pages and keywords and ad copy.
So if you don't know your clients that well, then you need to buy my learning library. I'm just going to be your brutal plug for Joe now. No apologies, because I've got a whole sequence of questioning. I've got a coaching program in there that will actually help you get to the point where you can know your clients so well that you can turn up and have a conversation with Matteo and actually be writing really good quality ads. Like, that is the power of this. Not just about your website copy, not just about your social media stuff, not just about your newsletters that you send out. This is how your ideal client knowledge and skills actually helps you. Okay.
Yeah.
So most people want to know how they can stop wasting money on Google Ads, right? So what's a red flag for you? Like if you're running a Google Ads campaign, how do you know when to switch it off and go, this isn't working?
Well, it depends. I think most healthcare practitioners I speak to who are already running Google Ads is like what's called a set and forget. Like they made it months ago and they're hoping for the best, not looking into the account, not looking at the search terms that you're paying for with your own money. And yeah, like the biggest thing is definitely the search terms is ranking. And because on Google, it's not like Facebook where you pay per impression or you pay per view, you pay per click. So you can get impressions, you can get people seeing your ad, but you only pay once they click, right? So that's why we really need to make sure that we're paying for only the highest quality, highest intent clicks. And the biggest mistake I see where people are quote unquote wasting money is because they are not looking at the keywords that they're ranking for, not looking at the search terms that their ads are popping up on. And it's usually these lower quality search terms, like information seeking is a big one, or perhaps it's completely different. Another thing is you could have got the location targeting wrong, and you're paying for clicks from people an hour drive away. Like who's going to drive an hour? Unless it's a very specific service, obviously.
Yeah.
But if for just your general dentist, chiropractor, psychologist, there are plenty, and people want to go local.
Yeah.
They don't want to drive. They have busy lives. They have kids running around. They need something like right then and there.
So I'll give you an example of that, right? So when I was like looking for I needed a psychologist. I needed to find someone for myself, and I wanted somebody who was within 10 minutes. That was the geographical criteria. Now I live in the Blue Mountains, so I was trying to outsmart myself here. I wanted somebody that was a 10-minute drive away. That's as far as I was willing to drive. 10 minutes. I needed them to be able to do EMDR, and I needed them to be able to do neurofeedback. So I actually wrote clinical psychologist, 10 minutes from Lapston, the suburb that I live in, EMDR and neurofeedback into my Google search term. And I did actually sit there and go, nobody's going to have that. Because, essentially I was trying not to re-engage with therapy. But you know what? She exists. And I'm now working with her, and she's been incredible. But that's exactly what I did, because she had sorted out her search terms. She had put all of those things in her profile. I was able to go, oh my God, this unicorn exists. So again, she knew that people like me were going to be searching for those specific terms, right? So she was smart and got her Google Ads to work that way. So that's a really great example on how it works. True? Aw, now I can't hear you anymore. That's disappointing. What did we do there? Why can't I hear you? Is it my headphones? That's really bizarre. Wow. Okay, I am connected again. Nice. Now we're going to bring you back on.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Nice.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened there.
No,
all right, where were we?
Well, I was telling you about my very specific search terms in Google.
I was saying that's word for word exactly why Google Ads works. It worked for you. Why shouldn't it work for any other healthcare practitioner?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you, I'm just trying to give people some really concrete examples now. So if you've got an occupational therapist on your team who is great with kids, and you've got availability now, you could write for your keywords, occupational therapist, probably the suburb that you're in, and working with children or pediatrics.
Yeah, pediatrics, right? Pediatric OT near me.
Yep.
A lot of people search like the nicknames like OT.
Yep.
As an example, instead of just occupational therapy.
Yep.
Pediatrics, or anything similar like that. Mm-hmm. Also to do with the pain points that your patients are going through.
Right.
Like let's say let's say for OT, you work with children who are nonverbal or something, or this might be
Mm-hmm.
more for speech therapy, but we would say like nonverbal therapist near me or something,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
for kids. And
Yep.
yeah, the most high intent terms are like near me or like searching up a location, because these are people who are like keen to book in like right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. And I guess too, I'm just thinking as well, if, especially for pediatrics, we want things that, you know, they're going to work with children, but they're going to have parking. They're going to have school, outside of school hours appointments available, that sort of thing as well. I mean, we're probably not as high intent, but these are some of the things that we can start to think about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
mm,
And there's like nuance to it. Like it's not black and white. Like, oh, only just this
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Like what we do for our internal clients is we usually test these like um, these more lower intent keywords to see if they perform or not.
Okay.
And we kind of just
So
make a
how do you know?
decision
How
off
do you
that.
know if a word's performing?
Well, it's if we're getting conversions
There we go.
for it. That's really it. If we're getting bookings, if we're getting phone calls, that's all that matters. Clicks, views, no one cares. Unless you do care, and maybe you should do Facebook ads instead, because that's a good way to get views and a lot more cheap than Google ads. But if we just want the highest intent bookings and phone calls and inquiries, then Google ads is definitely better.
Okay, so you've just brought up, I know one of the biggest issues that health professionals is going to have is parting with money. So you on the podcast this week, you actually gave us a breakdown. You actually gave us a dollar figure. So for those that haven't heard the podcast yet, how much do you think we could be spending on Google ads a day to get a result?
Yeah, so you can start as low as like $15 a day.
Mm-hmm.
We suggest a minimum to our clients, and we only work with clients who can afford like $33 a day minimum.
Yeah, right.
Because that way, if you're spending any less than that, you're kind of not getting the best data from Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like you just really need to, and I think we went over this in the podcast, but you need to understand the numbers of your practice. Like
Yes.
how much is a new patient worth to you?
Yes.
What is their lifetime value? And that's why it may seem sometimes that you are in the red, or like the goal is to like break even in the front end for ads.
Nice.
But as these patients keep rebooking, that's when the profit comes in, because
Yeah.
if you understand like, okay, the average patient books in for, let's say, 10 times, then paying, let's say you charge $200 per session.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're getting $200 per new booking, which is a bit on the expensive end, you're breaking even on the front end. If they book in for 10 times, that's $2,000,
Yeah.
right? In the long term. And I guess it's all about just making the investment and knowing that it will pay you dividends in the long term as long as you stick to it, because you understand the lifetime value of your clients. Another thing that people don't realize is some practices average one new patient averages one or two referrals, right? So
Exactly.
that's even more. So a new patient is super valuable to you. So yeah, it's just all about understanding the numbers, the math and accounting behind it. And yeah, that's why a lot of health practices spend plenty of money, hundreds of dollars a day on just ads, because they understand that a new patient to them is worth a lot. Not just
Yeah.
on the first initial booking, but on the back end, maybe they buy the other products, other services. If they have products that they recommend as well, they can buy these like supplements as an example, or some type of medicine, or any affiliates that the practice offers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just all about knowing those numbers and making sure that it makes sense financially, and you need to understand that, like, don't just look at the front end, look at the back end and how it's going to work in the long term.
Yeah.
If you are obsessed with front end results and making profit like this, then Google ads may not be for you. That's the reality.
Healthcare in private practice may not be for you.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a long-term game. I mean, there are practices that do really big numbers, but these are also practices that I know spend thousands of dollars a month on Google ads. Thousands and thousands, because they know that they're going $1,000 spend on a Google ad is going to make them 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are just starting out or want to test this out, so for my mind, the way I'm thinking about this, like as health professionals, we are busy, we are tired, and we've got to start looking at ways that we can leverage ourselves. And if we are the owners in the business, we're often thinking of leverage in terms of building a course or running a group or putting in a different stream of income, which is nice. But if we haven't got people filling those spots, then it's useless. So we'll then spend 10 hours writing a blog, creating an email list, nurturing, going to networking events. And if you're charging yourself out at $200 a session and you're marketing for 10 hours a week, 10 times 200 is you've just spent $2,000.
Yeah.
Now, if you had popped that $2,000 into Google Ads following the advice that Matteo is giving you free here today, or you could book in a consult with him and get him to do it for you. If you could start putting that $2,000 in, not only are you then available to see clients, you're filling up the other people in your practice. So once Matteo started helping me understand the time, the energy, and the financial return on investment, I'm like, I've been sold a lie. I need to get better at paid ads.
100%.
Like, it's just like, why are we not doing more of this? It's like,
yeah, it's just lots of limiting beliefs,
yes,
being scared, because a lot of people see it as like a gamble, but
yes,
that's because a lot of the time they don't know how to do it right, and it's not their fault. You know, they have plenty of things. You guys are so busy with your patients, running teams with your practitioners and admin and all this HR, all these things that you need to
yeah,
worry about.
yeah.
The last thing that should be on your mind is running ads,
Good
because
point.
you're so busy, right? So it's not your fault that it is like that, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
If you can figure out a way to get it right, and profitably for the long term, so you can get
yes,
consistent patient
yeah,
bookings, then
yeah,
you win.
yeah.
That's pretty much it.
That's fantastic. So I wanted to come back to a question I forgot to ask, right? So if you've been running Google Ads for a little while and they used to be successful and then they've stopped creating client bookings, what could be why could that happen? Because I've had someone say that to me. It's like, Google Ads worked really, really well for us a couple of years ago, but they stopped working.
What I would say to that first is, again, what I talked about with the set and forget. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that they have just kept the same campaign running, not looking into it, not optimizing, not making any changes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. But the reasons could be that there's more competition. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is more people are doing Google Ads and you're competing for the same search terms, which drives the cost per click higher,
Mm-hmm.
and by extension, the conversions and all of that, and your cost per new patient booking will be higher. But that being said, yeah, like it still works if you can get it right. There's always ways you can optimize a Google ad campaign. You should never be setting and forgetting it. You need to look at the search terms consistently. And not just that, like you can test out different ad copies that may resonate better. You can test out the website that could have a better conversion rate, because you know, let's say you have a 10% conversion rate. So out of 100 people, 10 people convert. Even just changing the headline of your website, because everyone knows, like everyone has such a short attention span nowadays, that when someone lands on your website, like the site speed has to be good. They have to be able to tell within 5 seconds exactly what you do and where you are, right?
Wow.
So there's all these little things that you can do to improve the ad. So if you don't do anything about it and expect the same result after a couple of years, then I think that's a bit delusional.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, it's not your fault, because ideally it should be that easy. But if it was that easy, then everyone would be doing it, and there'd be so many healthcare practices with huge waiting lists. But that's not the case. So yeah, because it's hard, and I guess to get good results, by extension, you need to do something that's hard, like figure out Google Ads.
Do something different. do something different. And I think that's a really important point that you've made, and I'm glad you made it. And we didn't practice or rehearse beforehand, but we've got to be keeping up to date and nuanced around how people are using the internet. So when I started my practice back in 2009, AI wasn't a thing. Right? Now
Yeah.
I can tell everyone who is using ChatGPT for their social media copy, because it reads the same, sounds the same, looks the same, and already I'm starting to scroll by it. I'm not interested in it because I know what it's going to say, right? It's not unique, it's not different. So if we've got clients who are, or prospective clients who are using Google or using different search terms, or they're describing their symptoms differently. So I'm a Gen Xer. I've now got a Gen Z crew in my world because I don't know how Gen Z think. And if I want to stay relevant and want to stay up to date, I've got to work out how to use their language in my marketing copy, because they're going to need my help. Right? Yeah. So if we're not saying, so again, this is the whole concept of set and forget. You don't do your ideal client exercise once. In my mind, we need to be doing that every 12 months. We've got to be doing that every year, because the speed of change is so great. Okay. Wisdom from Joe and Matteo today. Okay. So you're going to meet health professionals, and you've probably already met them, who say, I don't have a lot of money to spend. I don't have a lot of money to spend on this. What do you say to those people? Like, do you say, we'll go away until you can?
Well, first thing I would do is to find what's already working. Usually when I get on calls with healthcare practice owners, I ask, how are you currently getting your patients?
Mm-hmm.
And then if they say, I'm getting a ton from like GP referrals, which is a big one, I say, okay, is there any way we can scale that first before we do Google Ads? Because I don't want, like, Google Ads shouldn't be your like savior of your business. It should just be like an extra supplement of what you've currently got. So there's plenty of things to optimize first. Another thing is retention. So when I speak to practice owners who say like, okay, the average patient books in like once or twice, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think Google Ads makes sense for you, because that's a problem you need to fix first. Because I've got other clients who retain patients for 10 plus sessions, right? So that's why it makes sense to spend on marketing. So I think you need to look at your business holistically first and see where, like, the bottlenecks are, and which areas you can improve the most first. And if you have something that's working, like I spoke to a chiropractor last week, this was, and he was telling me that he was getting a lot of GP referrals. And I was like, okay, like 100% of his client base came from GP referrals. I'm like, okay, is there any way we can scale that? Like, can you get more GP referrals from, or can you partner with more GPs and more health centers and stuff? He's like, well, yes. Okay, well, why don't we just do that? He's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I just thought Google Ads sounded interesting. I'm like, well, yes, that works. Google Ads works. But I think what's better for you is to do what's working already, because maybe you don't even need Google Ads. So that's another thing. So what I would say, if you don't have money, is first of all, figure out what you can do. I'm assuming if you don't have a lot of money, then you have time in your practice. So you can do things like reach out to your network. A big thing is asking for referrals as well.
Yeah.
That's something I speak to with practice owners, and they don't ask for referrals. It's like, worst case scenario, they say no, right? But you'll be surprised how many you can get by just asking. So, plenty of things you can do first. But if you were to do Google Ads, then you can start with a low budget. That's what I would say.
So I again, your honesty and your integrity just shines through, which is just wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's like, Google Ads may not work for you. Maybe there are things that you could already be doing that you could tweak or do more of. You just don't realize that they're working. Or maybe it's time to switch things up. It's like, I have been, so I'm a great network marketer. And I'm not MLM there. It's like, if you put me in front of a room and give me a chance to speak about what I do, I will walk away with new clients. I'm just good at it. I've always been able to do that. And it's been a great way for me to grow my business. Plug for the 5 Favorite People networking program that is in a part of my UTech library, if anyone wants to learn how to do that, right? But it's got to the point for me where I needed to be able to replicate myself to 5 different people. I had 5 different clinicians on my team. I couldn't reinvent myself in 5 different ways. So I needed to be out there marketing, but I also needed something else to be able to do some of that heavy lifting for me. And advertising was a great way to do that. So it's not that you just stop all your other marketing activities and go, Google will be my savior, or Google
That's the wrong mindset.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really grateful that you said that. It's like, could Google Ads be the next thing that you need to add into your marketing suite of things that you're doing to help you fill those spaces right now, so that you can actually get more of the clients you want to be working with? Because who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah, 100%. Another thing as well is you have to think about the cost of inaction.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's a big one, because I speak to healthcare practice owners. A lot of them is I speak to the owner, right, who's a head practitioner, principal practitioner, and they're like, I can get my books filled because I've been doing this for longer. My problem is I can't get my practitioners filled. I can get myself filled out, but my practitioners have a lot of availability, and yeah, we're just losing money on that. And then I speak to them and saying, okay, what are you currently doing? And then they talk about like their LTV and all this, and it makes sense that we would try rank for Google to get the low hanging fruit, highest intent people, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes their concern is like, oh, they're not like, what if it doesn't work? Which can obviously happen. I mean, but there are ways that we do, and we really as we spoke about before, like I really make sure that I cross-check with my clients before anything goes public, right? Or anything's published. I want them to have full clarity, and while I'm the marketer, they know more about their specific ideal clients in their area more than me. So yeah, cost of inaction is another thing. Like if you just didn't do anything about it, like what would your practice look like in the next 6, 12 months, 2 years, right? You'd probably be in the same position, just wondering where your next patient will come from, and just stagnating like this. And the reality is, I think, I don't want to get too deep here, but I think it is almost like a disservice, because there are people who actually need you, and it's your job to make sure that you are known to them and that they can book in for you for your services.
I love it.
So yeah, like you need to think about that. Like it seems scary to spend money on marketing, and it should be, right, because that's what it is. But yeah, that's just the nature of the practice industry now. Like you need to do that if you really want to go to the next level. And if you're having these issues where you can't get your availability filled out, then that's sort of something you kind of have to do, because your competitor next door could beat you to it, and then they will be the one who's doing it. So you need to stay competitive, and you need to think about the cost of inaction. If it's not with Google Ads, you need to change something at least.
Yeah.
Have a better retention strategy. Ask for more referrals.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, we can't be in private practice and pretend that the clients are just going to magically find their way to us. That world went a long time ago. It went 20 plus years ago, because I've been talking about the fact that clients don't do that, and I've been teaching people how to help market their practices since 2009. So it's been a long time. We've also been lulled into a false sense of security, particularly here in Australia with the NDIS, where we just had too many clients, too many people having funding for services, not enough people available to do the services. And with the current complexities around NDIS, I mean, government decisions are driving people away from the scheme, driving clinicians away from the schemes. But what are you going to replace it with? What are you going to do instead? I have so many health practices coming to me going, I can't be reliant on NDIS referrals anymore, because the government might change its mind tomorrow. Particularly after Brad Williams, the occupational therapist who was on the podcast, the government changed their mind and he nearly lost his business not once but twice. So this is how we stay future-proofed, people. We need to actually be aware that marketing is an ever-evolving beast, but it doesn't need to feel like a beast.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is just going to your point about like diversifying is let's say you have one channel where you get most of your patients from. Let's say let's just say it's social media like Facebook and Instagram. What if Zuckerberg decides to shut down the platform?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with TikTok in the US that nearly happened. Like a lot of people would have lost their whole business from that. So it's important to, yes, double down on what's working, but you need to be ready because anything can happen, and you need to diversify. So a lot of when I speak to healthcare practice owners, a lot of them come to me saying, Google Ads isn't a huge focus, but I do want to get it started because I don't want it to rely on just Facebook if they were doing Facebook, right? So that's something else.
That's really smart. That is so smart, because none of these platforms are guaranteed. They're not our business right. You know, Facebook does not exist to make Joe Muirhead happy. Instagram does not exist to make Joe Muirhead happy, although I really love watching people with puppies. So if you want to target me, you put puppies in your advertising. But, you know, all of this stuff can fall over and be gone tomorrow. There are social media platforms that I used to be on that just don't exist anymore. I'm not talking about Twitter. There are other ones as well. You know, they just don't exist anymore. So if we're not going to, like, health professionals think about the word diversification, and they're already thinking about service delivery. Well, we've got to actually be thinking about diversification in terms of our marketing spend, our sales spend, probably diversification in terms of the types of people we bring onto our teams. It's a bigger concept than just, oh, how else can I sell and package my knowledge? Anyway, 100%. We are now drifting into other topics of conversation. Matteo, you have been an incredible first ever sponsor of the Entrepreneurial Clinician podcast. I am super impressed with the way we have made things work. So thank you for trusting me.
No worries. I feel honored, as I said.
Thanks. Now, if people want to get in touch with you and go, right, Joe really trusts this guy, I really want to trust this guy, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best thing to do?
Best thing is probably to go on my website. So practiceconquest.com, not .au, just .com. You'll see a video of exactly what I do. You can see some of my client results as well. And then there should be a button to book in a call with me. So usually I do Zoom calls. We have a quick chat to see if it even makes sense to work. As I said before, I think I can just diagnose what you could already do before starting Google Ads. So it's no pressure at all. That's basically it. I just enjoy chatting with, I think your industry is so fascinating. So I just enjoy chatting with practice owners anyway. So, yeah.
So just for those of you who are just sitting there going, oh, I don't know if I want to give Matteo my email address because he's going to then fill up my inbox with all this bro marketing stuff. He doesn't. He
I have a couple reminders if you book in, but that's about it.
Yeah. You just don't get email spammed by Matteo at all. So his concept of using ads to help us get new patients, like client types into Google, client books in with Joe, he uses that same principle. It's like, you don't need a whole
I practice what I preach. Yeah.
So I just wanted to assure anybody who's out there, because it totally blew my mind that I wasn't getting a gazette. I actually gave Matteo another email address in the beginning because I wanted to test it out. And he proved that he practices what he's preaching. Very cool. All right, I think that's done for us today. Go forth, enjoy your morning in beautiful Western Australia. I am going to go and turn the air conditioning on. If you've got any questions and you're watching this replay, type replay in the comments below so that Matteo and I know to come and have a look, and we'll do our best to answer your questions.
100%,
go forth, be awesome, and we'll be talking to you again soon. Bye.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Bye.